Hey warriors, it's me, your favorite psychology teacher, because I'm the only psychology teacher at Indian Land High School, here for schizophrenia. This is kind of the big one, the Mac Daddy of the disorders, in my opinion, because it has a myriad of different symptoms and they're hard to combat. They can be treated with drugs and therapy, but they're hard to distinguish from real life. And so let me tell you about the symptoms and what they mean. A famous case of schizophrenia was put into pop culture by the movie A Beautiful Mind, and should we have time for it, we'll watch it in class. But schizophrenia is a group of severe psychotic disorders characterized by distortions in thinking, perception, emotion, and behaviors. So the person that has schizophrenia, it's hard to trust your own mind because that's where the problem lies. And it's characterized by a loss of contact with reality. Now, it typically manifests itself between the ages of 18 to 30 when our brain fully develops. And the person with schizophrenia has problems operating in the real world because they can't trust what their reality is. It's progressive. It can get worse as we get older. And the most obvious signs and symptoms include hallucinations, which means we see and hear things that aren't really there. Delusions, which means we believe things that aren't true. And in a lot of cases, these things go together. The hallucinations, the delusions, and then obsessive thoughts perhaps. And they can tell the individual, or that is the hallucinations might tell an individual what to do, what they did do when they're lies. An individual with schizophrenia may experience delusions of grandeur where they believe that they're superior to others. They might think that they're a famous person, or they're on a special mission sent by the CIA or the FBI, or that the CIA or the FBI is out to get them. People with schizophrenia have other things that make it difficult for them to function in the real world. Like I said, they can be socially withdrawn. They may lack social skills. They have a loss of normal emotional responses. And some may have these different symptoms, like they may be catatonic. I'll show you what that looks like. They may be immobile, they may be expressionists, and it may look like they're in a coma. The symptoms can, of course, be very stressful for the individual because they realize that something is wrong. And it's estimated that 20% of people with schizophrenia may have attempted suicide and 10% are successful. So schizophrenia is found in all cultures and it's recognized around the world, but thankfully it doesn't affect a whole lot of people. It's about 1% of the population, 2 million in the US. Now, there are different types of schizophrenia, and the type of schizophrenia that John Nash showed was paranoid schizophrenia, which is characterized by delusions or auditory hallucinations, and relating to the delusions of grandeur, persecution, or jealousy. So their cognitive skills remain intact, so they can think and function okay. May think people are out to get them, or that they're more important than they really actually are. And if they're aware of it and undergo treatment, then they can live successfully with that. Paranoid schizophrenia, kind of what it sounds like. We might be a little bit paranoid about the real world. Another type is disorganized schizophrenia. Disorganized schizophrenia is disintegration of personality, including erratic speech, childish mannerisms, and bizarre behavior. The person may have cognitive slippage. That means that their thoughts are not connected. They have illogical speech, what is known as word salad. The thoughts and the topic just does not connect. The word salad is all kinds of different pieces and parts put together. They may mimic the speech of others, speak in meaningless rhymes, and neologism, made up words. This man has disorganized schizophrenia, and I'll show this to you in class. As for catatonic schizophrenia, to be catatonic is where the person might sit in these rigid positions. They remain in a fixed stupor state for long periods, maybe short periods of extreme excitement, imitate speech and imitate movements. And catatonia is rare, but yeah, they may sit in these weirdo positions and not be responsive. They may be just zoned out for long periods of time. What causes schizophrenia? According to the psychodynamic theory, this is caused by overwhelming of the ego, trying to balance out the id. The urges threaten the ego and they cause intense conflict. And so in response, the individual regresses to an earlier phase of development where the infant hasn't learned to separate itself. And then that starts all these different fantasies and overwhelm. They lead to the hallucinations and delusions. This isn't really accurate, and there might be more of a biological root to that. And speaking of biology, the biological view is that genetic factors play a role in developing schizophrenia. We know this because if one twin has schizophrenia, then the likelihood that the other twin is going to have schizophrenia is pretty great. It's nearly impossible to pinpoint the causes of schizophrenia, and so they do use this multi-factor model to demonstrate that all factors, environment and biological, are an influence in schizophrenia. As an adult ages, the role of stress may activate schizophrenia. Like I said earlier, the symptoms kind of are most severe when our brain is fully developed, and that's also when stress is kind of high, when we're 25 years old and trying to make our way in the world on our own. Family interactions, if you come from a family with really emotionally charged environment, then that could exacerbate this. In cultural variations, it is highest in Caucasian. Let me go back to family interactions a little bit. And John Nash, in his family, he was an only child, and there was a lot of pressure put on him to be great. And so he put a lot of that onto himself. So that's the conclusion of this little lesson, and we'll learn more about schizophrenia once again in class, and I'll share those videos with you. I don't know about you, but the one way that I really learned best about these disorders was to see people that have them. So I hope that you're looking forward to seeing those people. Not that we want to celebrate that, but thankfully there have been people who have put these videos online, and it helps me to show you what these symptoms actually look like. All right, we'll see you next time.